So I made the decision that I wanted to start sharing some of the things that I write down after my morning contemplation. It's when I enter a space where I feel really expanded and open, and I feel like what I write comes through me rather than from me. And in those writings, I've found them quite powerful in many ways, with some really good lessons that I've found helpful for me to implement into my own life. And I decided I wanted to share them. I didn't want to make it a high production, highly edited thing with the sound effects and chopping the angles repeatedly to try to keep your attention. I just wanted to keep it pretty raw, basic, me reading from the book of what I'd written. And if it adds value to anyone, then wonderful. So, this is the first one that I'm sharing from something that came through a couple of days ago that really felt quite powerful and profound to me. The gist of it was about not judging life and through entering into humility and realizing how much we don't know and viewing life in a different way, we can start to receive so many more lessons that gets rid of some of the patterns or the lies that we may have been living that prevent us from being in the higher levels of consciousness, which ultimately prevent us from living a more peaceful life, which we could call heaven on earth. Now, in this, I use the term God a few times. If God isn't the word that you like to use, then you can replace that with life or the universe or the divine, whatever feels good for you. But really, it's more about the essence of what came through and just hoping that it adds some value. So it's about 5 minutes long. Take a listen and let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd be really grateful to get your feedback, and I hope you enjoy. See the divine in all things. When you only see the divine in certain situations, you split off parts of the whole, creating duality: good, bad, right, wrong, etc. You become the judge, taking a positionality that you are the one who can see the infinite order and how everything works to the point of being worthy of judgment. This will create inner resistance. This will create higher levels of conditionality to what has to happen for you to experience heaven on earth. But what is that heaven? It is the dimension within that can be accessed by all. It is the beautiful silence. It's the blissful isness. It's the place of oneness. Judgment, in and of itself, is what moves us out of oneness with life. It creates separation from the whole. What if every moment that feels out of alignment is just to bring you back in? If we didn't resist, how much sooner would we realign? It's the resistance to what is that keeps us from oneness. Accepting this and rejecting that creates a divide and the illusion of separation. It creates otherness, rightness, wrongness, rather than oneness. When we see the divine in all things, we enter into a humility that creates a peace within. Humility is required to be in non-judgment. Humility is what allows us to surrender the notion that we know everything and are meant to. The ego loves to know, loves intelligence, loves to be right. From the depth of humility, I find the power to be me for all life. Let go of the need to be right. Notice how the ego loves to judge, to correct, to comment, even if it's just in the minds. When noticed, use polarity, then neutrality. Polarity makes the negative positive, but neutrality lets go of thinking, I know what it means, and instead surrenders the isness of God to the oneness. See everyone, everything as part of the divine whole. Observe with curiosity to see what can be learned. It may teach you through truth or a non-truth, but observe fully and neutrally. Observe my inner propensity to judge and enter humility in me in every place in which it isn't. When we're lost in the now, meaning judging now as something that shouldn't be, it's a perceptual limitation of our ability to see or think in scale. This day, this week, this month, this quarter, this year, this 3 years, this 5 years, this decade, this 20 years, this 40 years, this century, this millennium. If we can perceive through a large enough time frame, then we have an easier ability to see how things connect in a larger picture. This gives a lot more space for making sense of what is. If I am humble enough to know that I don't always know, It allows me to trust that something I might perceive as unfavorable in this moment that's happening as simply a necessary part of a greater picture that contributes to a divine plan and orchestration. In a relationship, if I see it as being a sacred union and space for two people to evolve, and I know that evolution happens often through the discomfort of seeing or feeling that which isn't in truth in me, then in advance I accept that things are going to be brought to the surface so they can be seen and brought into the light of consciousness, which means shadows are likely to arise, especially for individuals that are committed to their own growth and evolution. Rather than thinking this shouldn't be happening, which is resistance, try taking the position of being grateful to God for giving you a partner in evolution. What if God's desire is simply for us to exist in truth and will provide situations that allow for our personal and collective evolution into that? If we personally or collectively get too far out of truth, then life will unfold in a way that brings me back into alignment, into truth. So God will give me exactly what is required for me to evolve and enter into the truth. This can appear to be good or bad. In humility, I can perceive a reaction from my partner as the perfect thing to be happening. If it activates something in me, then God has given me exactly what is required to activate it, which is to bring it into sight, into awareness, and to see it as a lie that is keeping me from heaven on earth. I have to reconfigure, rewire, and reestablish how I see the world, life, and reality. Any situation that creates inner resistance is an offering, a gift to see a lie, a misalignment to evolve into the higher levels of consciousness. It's almost as though life will offer you the chance to learn gently, but has no limitation on its willingness to escalate more and more until the lesson is learnt and the truth is known. Furthermore, it appears as though life or God will continue to bring more and more opportunities to ascend the levels of consciousness. So, developing this relationship with life creates a framework that fosters ease, flow, and more peace around what is. This will have an exponential effect on evolving consciously because the lack of resistance allows for the lessons to be learnt 10 times faster. So, view everything as divine, as an act of God that is calling me into the greater evolution of myself. Trust, surrender, be humble, be grateful, and open myself to receive the wisdom, guidance, and love of life and God. All right, thank you for listening to that. I hope that added some value or you got something out of it. I know for me, it's actually been pretty helpful for just a phase I was going through where I was having to navigate a few things where I was going into my mind and I was labeling it good or bad. And what I really noticed is in the labeling of it created my experience. What I really noticed was it wasn't so much me experiencing what was happening. I was experiencing my thoughts around what was happening, which ultimately is the meaning that I attach to it. And from taking more of a position of neutrality, of not labeling, and being humble enough to know that I simply can't possibly understand the bigger picture, it really allowed me to enter into a deeper peace with what was going on. So, if that can offer the same thing for you, then I'm absolutely delighted. Again, please comment below anything that came up for you. If there's any value in there, I'll reply to every single comment. If you enjoyed the video, please hit like, and if you haven't subscribed, please hit subscribe for more videos to come. All right, much love. See you next time.